Hi everyone. I'm Evgeny, co-founder of Fluence. Great to be here today. I'm gonna talk about Fluence and what we do there. So it's called Cloudless computing. All right. So we kind of do we're doing also decentralized computing platform like IONET, but it's with very different use cases and specifics. Essentially, we describe Fluence as a DePIN platform that frees compute from centralized clouds, making the world a better place. But it's kind of obvious things right here. We all know that compute demand growing very fast right now, mainly driven by AI, and it's actually not just on the GPU side where you need to run models. It's also like all kind of data collection, data processing, databases, all of this. Traditional CPU infrastructure also demand grows really fast, because the amounts of data that we need to process, we need to collect, collect, and then process to feed into all these models is insane. It's bigger than ever. So we're gonna see a lot of demand to compute across the edge, the cloud, the new hardware, and other channels. So we kind of, from the mission perspective, what we are trying to do is we are trying to build the alternative to big tech, where everything now is hosted. Like most part of internet is hosted by a few huge corporations, and we are just trying to do it step by step, right? So by building this alternative infrastructure, we first focus on Web3. Then we're trying to help AI, because in AI, these centralization questions keep popping up again and again. Concerns about OpenAI, which is not OpenAI, which is kind of closed AI, right? And then finally to bring the legacy enterprises into this new world of infrastructure that is more neutral, transparent, open source, and so on and so forth. So one of the most important things for sort of helping this to accommodate this growing demand to compute is essentially pricing, right? Because if you look at how pricing is formed in a big hyperscalers, it's actually quite expensive. Like everything there is quite expensive. There are services, even if you rent pure CPU like Amazon EC2, if you are renting GPUs, it's all actually comes with a huge price, because they have this market monopoly, because they have quite a lot of costs that they include into this price, and they take quite a big margin. And I think it's kind of obvious for everyone, because essentially if you able to get same piece of hardware from the manufacturer and put it into data center, collocate it in data center, you would see that economics is kind of different. So actually hardware costs and hardware maintenance costs with decent break-even time allow you to have the price much lower. So essentially what we are trying to do is we are trying to create efficient marketplace of the hardware, where all of these additional margins just eliminated. Yeah, so we do it with token economics, with blockchains, right? So with adding efficiency of the competition of global providers, with helping to subsidize both supply side and demand side with tokens. If you think of all the marketplace models of the previous generations, like Uber, Airbnb, they all they all need to bootstrap both sides, supply and demand. So they are subsidizing riders and drivers with investors' money, essentially. Here, in crypto, we have these wonderful tokens, which we can use to do the same, but with higher efficiency, essentially, because you have a longer vested effect here, where you can give tokens to customers and providers today, which they not sell immediately and not convert immediately to fiat or stablecoins, but they can increase in value over time, which would sort of make this short-term capital efficiency better versus if you give them just a fiat right away. So we build the on-chain marketplace. We add token incentives. We build cloud services, which we call Cloudless because it's kind of on top of marketplace of hardware, which exists independently from the cloud. And it allows us to get lowest possible prices for customers for these cloud services. So it's pretty straightforward. We have customers, providers, and FLT holders like any marketplace. For providers, what's unique here is that also it's important that we incentivize the right profile of providers, because in crypto you can think of also like, okay, any blockchain, any layer one is a sort of also marketplace. You have miners who provide hardware, and you have like a users who build stuff on chain and use the chain. But then if you see how miners usually behave, they turn on the hardware when the price growing and they earn money. And then when the price of the token or like Bitcoin drops, they just turn off, right? So your network capacity like constantly like moving, increasing and shrinking. And when you build in the cloud, when you build in the platform, which should be reliable, which people really should trust and really should switch from big hyperscalers to this one, your capacity have to be much more stable. And that's why providers have to be able to plan their operations for longer period of time, for like a months and years. That's why we are trying to, there is no ideal solution how to do it without just giving them cash up front. But what we are doing with like on the level of the protocol is that providers constantly earn rewards even for idle hardware, just because they bought it, they connected it, and they brought it into the network, and they're providing it. Essentially, they are we call it proof of capacity. So they do some work. They prove their hardware performance and existence, and essentially that their hardware connected to a network. And for this, they always get tokens. But then as soon as their hardware is used by customers, they get payment coming from customers directly without any fees. Like the marketplace doesn't really take any fee. Essentially, they always earn FLT and stable coins. The total amount is sort of stable, which is they can predict and plan. And the only like a percentage here differs depending on how many customers, what's the utilization rate by customers of their hardware at a certain moment. So that allows them to really plan their break-evens like for years. Then we have token, which is also part of this proof capacity protocol. So essentially like it's designed the way that in order to activate new hardware on the network, token holders have to stake on this hardware. And essentially they share risks with providers. If provider keeps the hardware connected and operational and performant, they earn yields. If not, their stake got slashed with a certain percentage. So we launched staking last year. It's growing with the amount of capacity we onboarding. We also allowed liquid staking, so now you can stake just in a pool, and you don't need to think about anything. There's gonna be other use cases for this liquid staking token, so people would be able to restake it in other protocols. And then essentially on top of this system where we incentivize reliable hardware network, we built Cloudless services, which is similar to normal like cloud services that people used to, with stablecoin payments. But all of this is open source and transparent, and like you can see the execution, sort of not the execution, but the sort of the instances metadata on chain when you create it, and it's all sort of deals between providers and customers, which encapsulate these economic relationships and payments. They happen on chain, so that allows to sort of enable ability to build more to compose this stuff with other, like let's say we provide only compute, then the other protocol provides storage. So because we have stuff on chain, they have stuff on chain, we can allow potentially customers to rent both things at the same time, because it's like on-chain and transparent and composable. Yeah, so essentially that's the offering. And so one of the also important things here is that we currently only allow professional providers who have hardware and data centers. So that's also important because, if I'm using the cloud and someone offers me that I can rent their home computer for some time, but cheaper, I'm like, okay, sure. But, I have production workload in the cloud. I'm not going to host it on someone's home computer. So right now it's only hardware and data centers. We are considering doing additional sort of lower tier of hardware as a separate offering with hardware that, it's not really in a top tier data centers or not in certified data centers. But you would know it. It would be coming with disclaimer. It would be even cheaper than this. But that's kind of separate use case. And we have DAO that managed everything. So this is where we are right now. We launched the mainnet, the DAO, the token, and we launched initial Cloudless functions, which is serverless WebAssembly offering last year. Then we launched Fluence staking, and we announced VMs, which is virtual machine instance, like a virtualization product like Amazon EC2. We announced it a couple of months ago. And we are moving towards more products, containers. We're going to bring GPUs. Right now, it all works without SLAs, but we understand SLAs is a huge part of cloud offering. Otherwise, you and I'm going to onboard any enterprises. So we're working on SLAs, virtual private cloud, key management, confidential computing, all this stuff. So it's all coming. And also very cool thing that we're all excited about is compute finance, which essentially like creating financial derivatives on top of compute resources, right? So there's different types of the things. One example is some people already done in some other projects is when you issue sort of NFT, when providers issue NFT in order to fund their operations of themselves, and investors can buy it and revenue share with providers for a certain period of time. So providers, this way, they get upfront capital that they can spend to buy the hardware, and investors can, get ability to revenue share at better rate than when they are staking. And the other way, the other thing is, for example, something like futures on compute, which is if you're buying a lot of compute, and especially this is relevant to GPUs. If there's can be like a shortage of supply on certain models, you can sort of hedge your risks if you're buying futures and then use these futures to convert it to compute rental. So something like this, it's not ready yet, but this is something we are working towards, and because there's a lot of potential in there and a value for the market and for compute customers. Yeah, we're doing a lot of stuff. That's, I think, some photos from last year. Launched a lot of stuff, presented on biggest crypto conferences. So then virtual machines. Okay. So we announced virtual machines alpha program, and right now it's still closed, private. It's like a closed alpha sort of. We have a bunch of people testing and giving us feedback, and we're kind of polishing stuff there. But that's the offer. So you have VMs at great locations in certified data centers at the lowest price. And I think I have I have video. Would it play or not? Maybe someone needs to click this button. Yeah. So this is quick demo. Essentially, the UI, like UX, is very standard. You pick the instance type. You say, I want more storage, or I don't want more storage. We're also gonna allow getting custom amount of RAM. You see what kind of servers we have. You see certifications of data centers. You see the price. It's coming currently with public IP addresses. You can customize ports. You can choose the operation system. and you only add your SSH keys, and essentially you're done. You can have this created. So now it's launching. I have some information here. It's gonna take a minute for the VM to start, and and I think and there's a billing. I can see how much I spend. And currently, it's built per day. That's a sort of one of coming from limitation of the on-chain contracts how we designed it, but we're probably gonna move to hourly or minutes or even seconds billing. We are figuring out this because that's more convenient than per day. Yeah, so once again, this is example of pricing. This is like really, if you compare it with big hyperscalers, that crazily cheap. If you compare it to like a Headsnare or DigitalOcean, it would be like still 40-50% cheaper, because we're like really trying to do maximum efficiency out of this. And there is a last chance to join Alpha program to be the first to try VMs. We have already like people deploying all kind of stuff in there, blockchain nodes, VPNs, gaming backends, some databases, just, anything. It's VMs, right? You can deploy anything. So this last chance, we're going to close it soon because we also give some, small amount of credits for people to play with. And then we will transition to public access to VMs. And I think that's it. That's the last slide. Thank you.